Then send us a text or a WhatsApp message on 070 317 565 37 070 317 565 37 to be a part of the conversation this morning. You can listen live via the website at www.wfm917.com, and you can also listen live via the mobile app WFM917. So it's been raining like in the past how many days, and not necessarily rain. You know, those kind of drops that just gets your clothes wet and not necessarily just rain. Those ones, it just has a way of just helping you reschedule what you have to do. And at the end of the day, you're like, this rain no come fall. Yes, that's just been doing that for the past how many days. And even before I came into the studio, it was drizzling again. I'm like, waiting there, call. What is happening in September? Is there something you need to tell us? All right, so let's go into the headlines this morning. And starting off with the Punch. Let's see what's happening on the Punch.
On the Punch, Delta community protests, alleges government encroaching on land. National Assembly resumes 2023 budget, CJN confirmation top agenda. Students target Apapa port after airport road blockade. Wrong medication, major cause of death, says health workers. Lagos State demolishes illegal structures in Lekki. Over to the Vanguard.
On the Vanguard newspapers, Evans' accomplice jailed 21 years for kidnapping and collecting $420,000 ransom. Airport shut down. Police urges Kwara students to shun protest. I have paid 30 million naira ransom to secure fellow clergymen, reveals Kuka. Auction vehicle, mother and son receive over 1 million donation from public. Nigerians are sweet people, trust me. Bandits abduct over 45 persons in South Kaduna Church, demand 200 million naira ransom. Over to this day newspapers, things be happening.
On this day newspaper, Portugal says it may cause shortages next winter if Nigeria defaults on LNG delivery. Kyari is saying 3.4 trillion naira needed to subsidize 66 million liters daily consumption of petrol per annum. Buhari to launch Nigeria's financial framework for sustainable development in New York on Friday. University students paralyze activities at Lagos Airport over prolonged ASU strike. Governors brainstorm to block tax leakages, improve IGR collection. Kuka says Nigeria doesn't need a messiah in 2023. Over to the Guardian.
On the Guardian newspapers, relocates communities urgently over flooding. NEMA warns 13 governors. Federal government debunks taking ASU to court, hint of fresh negotiation. ASU strike, travelers miss flight, motorists held up for hours as students locked down Lagos Airport Road. Payments of fuel subsidies, organized crime, says Obi. Tributes, fears, prayers as world bids Queen Elizabeth II goodbye. Over to the Nation newspapers.
On the Nation, bandits demand 200 million naira to free 60 hostages. Teachers get 7 years for fondling students. Youth and women crucial to electoral victory, says Oluremi Tinubu. Lawan and Gbajabiamila to parties on 2023 ensure issue-based campaigns. Several million voters registration uncompleted, says INEC. Federal government plans salary raise to cushion effects of inflation. Over to the Daily Trust.
On the Daily Trust newspapers, maternity mortality, national government tax women on family planning. 2023 campaigns, Lawal, Gbajabiamila, Jega, Kuka, caution against hate speech. Here we are again. Ministry proposes December date for 7th National Youth Games. Placeholder, court rejects PDP split to disqualify Tinubu and Obi. Autumn to PDP, ignore Wike at your own peril. Federal government considers pay rise for workers over inflation. And finally, on the pen pushing newspapers.
On the pen pushing, court jails teacher for sexually assaulting student.
These are the headlines for this morning, September 20th, in the month of September 2022, and it's a Tuesday. Be a part of the conversation by sending us a text or a WhatsApp message on 070 317 565 37 070 317-565-37 to be a part of the conversation this morning. You can listen live via the website at www.wfm917.com, or you can listen live via the mobile app WFM917. And we have our analyst for the morning joining us live in the studio, Obideyi Olarawaju Lobinko. Good morning, Lobinko.
Good morning, Esther. Good morning, Adenike.
Good morning, Lubinko.
Akujo Welly.
Yeah, this rain. If you just before you know it, before you step out like this, it's drizzling already. What exactly is going on?
Like the rain is even targeting that you must not go out. It's exactly when you want to go out that it starts.
But I mean, you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
But then you have to just find your way, get a cab or something, or
that's life.
Or just do the natural way and just going to do it.
Irrespective of the obstructions.
Distractions will come.
Or distractions. Stay focused.
But wait, how did we turn this whole rain conversation into this motivational?
That's how God speaks. God speaks through everything, through nature. You need to listen. God is talking. Don't because it's raining make an excuse not to make a living.
Or you cancel an appointment or something.
You know. God is always inspiring us. We just don't listen.
I think you should start your platform of being a motivational speaker.
Motivational.
So you can start. I think people will listen to you. All right, there we have it. We have Lobinko joining us live in the studio this morning as we get to review the dailies across different Nigerian newspapers. So let's see what headline we're looking at first this morning.
We're starting off with the Punch, and it says federal government will review minimum wage, says Ngige. Now, the federal government on Monday, through the Minister of Labour and Employment and Productivity, Dr. Chris Ngige, has revealed that because of the inflation around the world, that the minimum wage will have to be reviewed from 30,000 naira upward. And he says because looking at it, a lot of people, that 30,000 could even barely take them to work. And he says time has come for that to be improved. And I think that is a really laudable thing, if you would ask me, that the government is doing. At least there's a sense of feeling for the plight of the people. And, you know, he says that they've started off with ASU, with the increment, and he said the real problem with ASU at the time is that they gave an offer. It says ASU can look at the offer they gave us and make a counter offer, but they have not done that. And that's what the government is saying now, that is the basis of what has been holding students at home. I was going to say holding them captive, but at home. So it says if they don't do that, that there's no way forward. So that when they make an offer, we're bound to look at their offer. And it says they've started off with with ASU as a union, and then that it would eventually cascade into the entire workforce of Nigeria.
It's a very good one. The fact that, you see, the fact remains we don't expect the government and the people to always be on the same page. You see, one thing I noticed, I mean, even while I was working for people, is no one would ever be satisfied. We are all sort of Oliver Twist. But then, irrespective of that, the onus is always on the person with the higher power of negotiation to be understanding, to be fair. I think that's the word to use. Being fair in our dealings is, I mean, such that at the end of the day, your conscience is clear, especially you that seems to be at the advantage side. You see, so the fact that the FG is magnanimous now to come and say we're going to review the wages, it's a very good and welcoming one. The fact remains this wages ought to have been reviewed long ago. I mean, the FG met fuel at, I think, 65 naira or thereabouts. Now fuel is 137 naira. The FG met, this current government met dollar at 135 to 150. Today is 700 naira. And unfortunately, people are still living on that same wage of the donkey year before the FG came into existence. So it should not just be about reviewing, it should also be about fair review.
Because you could actually review and still not doing anything.
I mean, if we want to play politics with it, like what's going on between ASU and
the federal
government is simply politics. The government is playing politics with everything. I mean, we could have a gentleman's agreement, honor it, and then we don't have to keep going back and forth. But like while I was growing up, when my mom is eating something and I'm disturbing it, bah, not that kind of, you understand, but something fair. Invariably, at the end of the day, if it's something fair, Nigerians are very compassionate, are very understanding people. Don't forget that NLC does not even make up 50% of the labor force. A lot more people are working outside of NLC, are not covered by NLC, who fights for those people's rights. But the fact that a good review is made, the money would again affect the economy. So the person working in the private sector who is not privileged to have that money keeps moving. But in a situation where money is not moving, then everybody is tied down, and that's not good for the economy. So I'll just say, yes, review, great one, but ensure that it's a fair one. That
But at this time where we find ourselves, what would we call a fair review? Because in my opinion, looking at how things are expensive, cost of transportation and everything, even if it gets reviewed, I'm just saying, I don't know. Even if it gets reviewed to like 50,000 naira, people will still have it rough.
No, like I would always say, number one, no one can pay you for your service. The reason I say that is the same skill you have that you're using to earn 100,000. Someone has that same skill, but fate smiled on the person, and the person is earning maybe 10 million. So, as humans, first and foremost, we must always see ourselves as privileged, irrespective of where we are. Whereas there's still another person with that same skill that does not earn 1 naira a day. So, irrespective of where you are, you have a reason to be thankful. Now, the person that is not even earning 1 naira has hope that I have this skill that can eventually fetch me money in the future. And don't be surprised when hope will smile on that person. The person might start with even 20 million overcoming. I mean, that's going ahead of those who had even been before them. And secondly, money is made all over the world. When you talk about a rich country, or nobody, I mean, the Queen, when she was buried yesterday, the roundup of it, the minister said the Queen came naked and must go naked, removed the crown, removed the scepter, and removed everything. That is how we all come into this world. And once we take note of that, what we achieve between the time we enter into this world and when we leave is a result of our creativity and ingenuity, which God has deposited in every man. So that said, what Nigeria needs is ingenuity. I was listening to Peter Obi's speech yesterday. It was talking about Nigeria should never be in lack of money. Right now that the world is going through what it is going through, Nigeria is supposed to be cashing out. We have arable lands. Netherlands has half the whole of Netherlands. People, humans, everything is half of Niger State. And they can make from export a certain amount. Whereas we have more population, more people, and more land, arable lands, and we're not importing anything. The only problem we have in Nigeria is leadership, and the leadership intentionally wants to keep the followership redundant by not giving them the capacity to reason as humans should reason. A lot of us, I saw a video yesterday where two old men were fighting, and the person that posted the video said, how come these two old men, is it that they don't have anything to think about? And there were some young ones. I said, those old men are victims of our leadership. At a point in time, they've given their best, even if it was as a bricklayer, to building the nation. Even if they were on 2,000 or 500 naira pay per day, everybody that stands up, wake up, and gets something doing is actually contributing to the economy. It is the responsibility of the leaders to make sure that when they become weak, in their weak states, they are protected. But unfortunately, they are not protected. So they are now giving to nuances. They probably drink about all they do is sit about that talk and do anything. And if care is not taken, those young ones also videoing them will probably end worse than them. Everything starts and ends at the table of leadership. The meaning of leadership is in every setting, the number of leaders are always the minority of the population. And what is the responsibility of the leader is to make sure they provide guidance for the people. So what I'm saying invariably is whoever wants to take up the role of leadership must be that person that sees it as a responsibility, not as a privilege. So that is why I don't condone the argument that our leaders not part of us. No. Leaders are special breeds created by God. Yes, not everybody. You see, leadership is not something you go to school of leadership to learn. It is innate. You can hone it. You understand? But if you don't have it, you don't have it. And that is the reality on ground. And that is what is affecting us as a people. So what the followership
I think
needs to do.
I think leadership has
you need to have it.
Well, so are you trying to say that leaders are made or they are born? Which one?
Leaders are born.
I think leaders are made.
You see, when you look at someone like okay, now let's take a statistics. Which leadership school did Martin Luther King go to? Which leadership school did Mandela go to? Which leadership school did Muhammad Gandhi?
I think when you talk about leadership, sometimes your mind as a person, your mind as a person tells a lot.
The fact remains we are all born leaders, sort of. But
then how we yourself? How you get to define yourself?
Saying. So now the fact remains when we are talking about leadership, we have good and bad leaders. That is where people need to be sensitive.
So on the side of, so Adenike has her own point where she said leaders are made. So on the part of leaders are born, I remember this scenario vividly. I had like some children around, and there was this particular one that caught my attention. Whenever you ask them to do something, she's the one telling them, let's do it like this, and they all listen. There's no force, no question. It just comes easy. They have to pay attention. And when she just tells them, let's do it like, everybody just follows.
Now, do you know what kills our country?
No stress.
Oh, do you know what kills our country? In a setting, unfortunately, that particular girl...
People will start hating that person.
No, unfortunately, let's assume that particular girl is from a poor home. The parents of the rich kid sees that. And instead of grooming that child, which will in turn make their own child a better one, because that child is not a leader by birth, they now start grooming him for leadership courses. But he's doing it from a stage of privilege, not from a stage of raw material inside him. Then that person, when they get into
interest,
yes, when that person gets to leadership position, you see, when we talk about leaders. Like I said, we have the good and the bad. While growing up in my 12, I have this friend. I won't mention his name. He probably might be listening. But he's just a leader. But unfortunately, he's not a good leader because what he was leading people to do was not the right thing.
Yeah,
but he had that influence just the same way I had it then. You understand? But unfortunately, bad leadership, maybe because of the perks they tend to give and then their compromises, they tend to have this kind of followership that, you know, and because bad leadership also uses force. And it makes people subjective. That is what we are going through in Nigeria. Whether we like it or not, subtly we are being forced to follow some patterns.
So, talking about force, over time, I've actually learned that people don't want to do the right things. People don't want to do stuff. Everybody, so if you have, let's say you have 5 people in a group, each of those persons have a mind of their own. If you leave them to it without rules and regulation, everybody wants to do things. You hear people say things like, this doesn't work for me, I'll do it at my own time. This doesn't work for me. If everybody says the same thing, how do we get to achieve our goal?
That is the failure of leadership. One thing leadership automatically gets without begging for is trust. And the moment you win people's trust, they will follow you. But it is better when you win people's trust, not by force, but by your acts, by appeal. You understand? I've had people call me. You see, I would always refer back to my 12. There's a lot going on there that I'm not proud of, that I'm not happy with. But most of the time when I talk to those guys there, they said, my mentor, it touches me. I've not even done anything. I'm not even in the capacity to do anything. So leadership should never be forced. When you go to America, are you taught, you go to Dubai, for instance, are you taught not to drive on one way before you don't drive on one way? It is the function of leadership.
The people as well.
Not the people.
No, it's the leadership.
It's the leadership.
People also, see, I can tell you from a point of...
Should I tell you why?
People also have their own issues as well.
I'm not disputing that.
Okay.
But should I tell you why you can't blame it on the people? The leadership had created a system.
True.
Which the people... even if now... The beautiful thing about this is if one person is obstructing the law, just like I saw a video last week of a guy on a bridge, and then Lasma truck was driving
I saw that video.
Was driving on one way,
and he stopped there.
It was a Nigerian that parked that. You guys won't move. This is
I saw that.
Now, do you know what? Leadership had created that rule. The fact remains with the good mechanism on ground. The rule is enforced simply by all of us monitoring it. And the majority of us, even if the minority of us, who in turn are leaders in our own way, are not given to the caprices, to the vices of what is going on in the day. When we stand and talk, you might not be accepted where you are talking, but when you go away, everybody knows you are talking the truth. That is how leadership works.
Yes. So in as much as I want to say that, but the people as well. So a lot of times when things happen or when certain policies are enforced, we come back to say, oh, don't we feel like this policy is kind of harsh? Look at it on the side of the people. Look at it this way. But people know that there are consequences and penalties for everything that they get to do. But people still do it.
The reason is simple.
When they still do it and the penalties come, you will still complain. It is still the leadership.
No.
People still complain.
Nobody complains.
Look, even in your individual life, you know.
The only reason people complain is if they feel justice is not well served.
People will still complain.
People complain. The person complaining from a selfish angle. Everybody knows this person is complaining from a selfish angle.
But does the person know? No,
it doesn't matter. That is where leadership does what it lists the system and makes sure that it's enforced. If there are no laws to be broken, then there's no offense. So the moment anybody breaks a rule, of course the person should be punished. You understand? But the being of question now is, when our laws are made, is it made for all of us or is it made against some of us?
That's a different conversation entirely.
That is the setting we are in Nigeria. The law, unfortunately, is mainly against the common man. I'm sorry to refer to this again. What our former Deputy Senate President is going through in the UK right now, here, it wouldn't have ever happened. But a system that is created to make every human equal. Of course, some will always be more equal. But the fact that, even the one who is more equal does not have to rub it on your face.
Okay.
It goes a long way. And all of these things can only be put in place by those who attain leadership position. Reason as Nigerians, you must look for quality leadership, not ethnic leadership or sentimental leadership or anything leadership.
All right.
And a lot of times why it appears things don't work here is because you talked about the driving on one way, and we all know that it's wrong. But when there's traffic, you see either officials, even police officers, driving one way, or sometimes they're even escorting someone on one way.
Saturday.
Or you see them come down, clear the road for themselves. I saw that one.
And unfortunately,
I saw that one.
That entourage was even bearing the posters and flags and of a particular presidential
now this
candidate.
particular
And whereas everybody, that traffic had already gotten to
this point.
And then the traffic started because of that.
Of course. And now
this one thing,
because of this
on
one
the
thing,
other side,
on this side of
that was
those
free.
of us
Everything was shut down.
everything was now shut down.
Well, then again, in as much as I feel like Nigerians already know these things, but we like to live in some sort of denial that we don't know what is happening. When people come out to say certain things, you can pick out from somebody who has an undertone in their words or in the kind of interviews that they have or something. But Nigerians just choose to shy away from the truth and still want to go ahead.
Based on sentiments.
Well, I feel like 2023 election, people would do a lot more logic than sentiments or based on religion or ethnic group.
Let's pray so. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. You see, the worst thing that can happen to any human is mental slavery. You tie a horse to this chair, it doesn't move. Because of that rope on the neck, it believes it is tied. As if it's tied to a tree. But if it decides to move, do you know it would move? But our mental slavery, and that is why those of us that have been liberated, luckily, we must not give up on those who are not. We must keep talking. The way words work, I mean, I'm an advert groomed person. Continuous exposure breeds good retention. Abi?
All right. Thank you so much, Lobinko. It is 2 minutes to 8 on Women Radio WFM 91.7, and this is the newspaper review. The newspaper review is where we get to review the dailies across different Nigerian newspapers, and we get to analyze them. Our analyst this morning has been Obideyi Olarewaju Lobinko. My name is Esther Larib, and I have with me Adenike Quadri. Be a part of the conversation this morning by sending us a text or a WhatsApp message on 070 317 565 37070 317 565 37. Let's take some of your messages. Let's hear from you this morning.
We have this message from Tony, and Tony is from Birmingham, Alabama. It says, I learned that a Chinese man committed something like murder. He actually committed murder on a Nigerian lady, and because our judiciary only works against poor and innocent Nigerians, I'm urging all well-meaning Nigerians, and especially the NBA, to pay close attention to the progress of case and make sure that justice take its proper course in this matter. That's from Tony.
Yes, well, on the case of this Chinese man who killed a 23-year-old lady, he has been arrested, and I really hope that justice is served in that case, because how do you just go to kill somebody because she wasn't responding, she wasn't taking your calls? How?
And to think, I mean, that's
think he killed the girl
in her mother.
You see, that is how we've been mentally subdued in this part of the world. You see, international relations, international migration is a constant thing, and which will eventually bring about reconciliation of the universe, of the world. I mean, the world is at peace than it had ever been. Funny enough, people might not believe that. In the past, Israel, after that, their boundary, the next is seen as an enemy. Yorubas, after their immediate boundary, the next tribe is seen as an enemy. But now, based on interaction, we are understanding ourselves the more. And probably the new world order that we are all expecting, this will be because it is said that at a point the language of the universe was scattered, of human race was scattered. But the fact remains that language is becoming one again eventually, probably because the population needed for the realization has come to play. So why am I saying this? The effrontery of a Chinese man to go and kill in Nigeria in a parent's house, it's only one thing. The Chinese man sees Nigerians as people that, I mean,
Anything goes.
yes. Recently, a video was trending where it said that unfortunately, the same Chinese people, I'm not saying Chinese people are bad.
We're addressing the people who have
They
committed
are
certain crimes.
exporting private parts of men, which they take to their place to do special delicacies of pepper soup.
Well, sometimes, when these videos make it to the internet, we have to just wait and investigate.
No, it's not
find out
a
where it's
matter of
coming from and all of that.
it's something that was said by one of the ministers.
I saw that. I saw
I've
it.
even
know.
heard lots of things about them. There was
You
time someone said one was arrested for dealing in adulterated petroleum products. That's his business
I
in
mean,
Nigeria.
when you talk about mining, illegal mining in Nigeria, but the fact remains they do this thing with the backing of those inside. Just yesterday, heroin, cocaine, raw cocaine, was discovered
Warehouse.
in a warehouse. The only foreigner there is just one, the Jamaican young boy. And funny enough, he's even the youngest of them all. It goes to show you how much we've lost our pride. Because don't be surprised that amongst those that were apprehended, that young boy, because he's a foreigner, might probably be the one in the highest rank in their cartel, as it were. Nigerians, we need to believe in ourselves.
Yeah.
We need to believe in ourselves. We need to know that we are as humans as any other person.
Oh, yes.
You are as human as the president of your country. You are as human as Joe Biden, the president of the most powerful country in the world. And until you know this, the only reason black man was eventually liberated is because some people knew this and they started taking it up. And the blacks, I mean, I'm not trying to preach race here. The fact remains every race, everybody color
has something to offer.
contributed
Yes.
immensely to the beautiful world we have today.
Yeah, let's take some more messages. We have this one from Kunle in Berger, and this one says, "Good morning, crew. Good morning, Kunle. How are you doing today? I agree with Lubinko. Government is there to regulate the activities of the people, as humans largely would want to do what pleases them. That is why there are laws which must be enforced fairly without sentiment by government agencies. Let our leaders lead by good examples, and we'll all follow suit." Okay, this one is from Additional Wasio Nikodo, and this one says, "Top of the morning to you in the studio." Yes, good morning, Additional Wasio. I hope you're feeling great this morning. I think the federal government is doing everything possible for the students to resume and continue their studies, but it seems the lecturers are the issue. And I also hope the lecturer will show passion and be patriotic for the students who this strike affects mostly. I would advise the students to stop blocking the highway, but go to the National Assembly and State Assembly to disturb their activities. Additional Wasi, you're still saying the same thing though. And he says, on the PDP crisis will continue because when PDP was in power for 16 years, there was nothing to show for it. Their presidential candidate, who they claim is going to unify Nigeria, cannot even unify their party. How can we trust such a person who cannot restructure his party to restructure Nigeria's? What we need right now is restructuring. Nigerians, think deeply before you vote in the 2023 general election. Yes, we have more messages.
We have this one from Rosenja Olawale Mutiu, and it says, Nigeria politicians are used to telling us what we want to hear during campaign, but do what they want when they get elected. The noise about fuel subsidy is only to buy voters over and milk the nation dry. This country is filled with bad followers who can barely produce good leaders.
On that note, let me just quickly interject in that. There was a video I watched late last night that I think captures it all. As a Nigerian, you need to start seeing yourself as a Nigerian that has an equal right in the stakes of the country as much as the person you want to vote for.
Okay.
That said, kill that mentality of I'm a follower first. See yourself first as a Nigerian, and then draw up an agenda for yourself. What do I expect from who will lead me? Who will be my councillor? Who will be my governor? Who will be my local government chairman? Who will be my president? Who will be my senator and House of Rep member? Once you've listed that out, whoever you think among the candidates gets the highest score of what you want, go ahead and vote. It should no longer be a discussion on our polity that you are wasting your vote. No.
Okay.
You cast your vote according to your conscience. Let us all play our part. You see, the politicians are so mastered their games that they play a lot of mind games with us. For instance, they will come and, I am surprised where a campaign is hinged on someone is a liar. That is a mind game. For those who wants to follow that person, number one, not to doubt the integrity of the person, and number two, a psychological nemesis for the person himself, so that the person probably is no longer going to be comfortable talking. So as Nigerians, we need to know what we want. What I want, if it's different from what my wife wants, from the same house, we don't have to vote the same candidate. No vote is wasted. In democracy, no vote is wasted. Every vote is a statement that puts the politicians on their toes.
All right. Thank you for that, Lubinko. We still have some more messages
I
here.
have this one. And it's from Olusho Kajayi from Odonla Ikorodu. It says, for the fact that the protest is also affecting road users, it is very important for everyone to feel the heat of students being at home for 7 months. I urge Nigerian students, parents, and ASU themselves to join this struggle. If education is meaningless in the country, then the country is in disarray. God bless Nigerian students. And God bless Nigeria.
You see, like I was, there was a post going around the social media yesterday that why Lagos? Why not go to Inlewe? Why not go to this? Why not go to that? And my response to that is this. Number one, APC is ruling Nigeria and we are undergoing all of this. Number two, someone has boasted that I am the one that single-handedly installed the current president after consoling him not to cry again. So if on that basis for a potential incoming president, the agitation is taken to his zone, it is fair and balanced. And secondly, if that same person is boasting based on the record of the achievements in Lagos as being all is, it also tells us something is, if that attack, if this protest is about that person and not about the current governor of Lagos State, that means there's problem in Lagos State democracy. And we need to sit and analyze these things individually. The meaning of democracy is one leader at a time who takes the falls and the praises for everything happening.
Okay.
So Nigerians, please, let's throw away and do away with sentiments. Let's stay focused.
All right, let's stay focused. I see. We have this comment here. This one is from Mr. Innocent Iwawan. This one says, politics has destroyed leadership. Everyone is a politician by nature, but everyone is not a leader by nature. Nigeria has more politicians than leaders, and things continues to fall apart.
I totally agree.
Okay, I see. This one, another one from Tony in Birmingham. This one says, one thing to add in the incident or crime involving this Chinese against the Nigerian lady in Kano State is the fact that we need the NUJ to cover this case religiously, because we cannot forget in a hurry the same way the Chinese government treated Nigerians that entered their country legitimately during the COVID-19 outbreak. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Lubinko. Yes, thank you too, Tony, for your message this morning.
Before you go ahead on that, Chinese, you can't even owe them money. Like, seriously. And they've taken over the airport of certain country, and you can imagine they don't joke with when it comes to their thing. So for a Chinese man to just it was not a case of manslaughter. This is a clear case of murder. So I feel government should give justice to this family affected.
Well, let's just see how this case actually turns out.
We just need to, you see, all over the world, immigration rules are tight. Just, I think on Saturday, I had the privilege of riding with two guys.
Okay.
From the international airport, and their story was a very touching one. I was like surprised, like, you guys are coming from abroad and you're not carrying anything. So they shared their story that they were actually deported from Bahrain, and while, like, when they got to Bahrain, like all Nigerians that entered Bahrain that day, they just said they're not taking them in. The reason, the excuse, they don't know. And there were some agents that actually facilitated this. Could it be a conspiracy? And they've been in Nigeria for about 4 or 5 days. On getting to Nigeria, their loads were still in Bahrain. It hasn't been released. As of that day, the only reason they went back to the airport was to see if their load had arrived back, so that they can continue with their life. One of these guys told me he had a printing press in Shagam. He had to sell the printing press and let go of all of his stuff. Another told of the other one. Funny enough, they were not Lagosians. The other one was like he sold car, left the wife, and said, okay, let me go and come back. And they are going. I just realized that they were in pains. Both of them were in pains. And that was what made me interrogate them. Like, how do I go? The Shagam boy was, how do I go to my mother? When I was going, she had to come from the village. She fried meat and all of that for me. Even that meat.
Having to even put all of the resources together.
You understand? I understand. Would any Nigerian want to go through that stress? Do you know the unfortunate thing now is, while they were going to the airport to get their load, they said some policemen stopped them along that airport road.
Okay.
And when they stopped them, without question, they told their story and they asked, where is your passport? They said their passport is not with them. They left it at the hotel. They said they wanted to arrest them. They had to part with 5,000 naira. You see, these are cases that can be easily solved if the system, the leadership is working. It would even be a scare. These are Nigerians, so not foreigners, that are going through that much pain, and they are still being extorted. And unfortunately, in Nigeria, extortion seems a normal thing. I mean,
well, really sad story there. This message here from Rosa Jeremy in Lakbara. This one says, good morning, dear presenter. The overturning of Evans' life imprisonment to just 21 years imprisonment is a slap on the integrity of the Nigerian judicial system. This is someone who was adjudged to have killed some of his kidnapped victims, and he got only 21 years imprisonment instead of death sentence. Can bad fellows ever produce good leaders?
I don't know. I need to be sure of this, but I think sentences are got based on facts given. The life sentence he got was from another case, I think, and this 21 years he got is also from another case. So I think the life sentence is still running.
there.
Is there.
Then this one
one too has now joined. That means after his life sentence, if unfortunately he lives into life sentence or he dies, he still has 21 years to pay. I mean, I'm just thinking.
How do you charge a dead man?
That's a whole lot.
How do you charge a dead man? Because I feel if he already has a life sentence, why bring up the 21 years again?
Well,
so that you don't confuse
the law has to take its course though. Tony Birmingham again is saying on the ASO strike, all those blaming the union are the enablers of this government insensitivity, and that is what is ruling the country today.
We have this message from Eliz. Okay, we have this message. His name is not there. From Mr. Okemondi, and it says, Nigerian Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo and other African presidents have no option than to move to Mowe Bafo. Down for bus to Queen Elizabeth funeral at UK. Okay, and it goes ahead to say, okay, we have this other message from Anderson. He's from Ethiopia, and he says, through increments in salary, though increment in salary is good, but government must look forward to end insecurity, which is the brain behind the inflation.
All right.
It's from Anderson.
Thank you for the messages. It is 16 minutes past 8 on your Women Radio WFM 91.7, and this is the newspaper review. The newspaper review is where we get to review the dailies across different Nigerian newspapers, and we analyze them. Join us as we get to analyze them. Send us your comments, your contributions on 070 317 565 37 070 317 565 37. In case you're just joining us on the newspaper review, my name is Esther Larabi, and I have with me Adenike Kodri. Our analyst for the morning is Obideyi Olarewaji Lubinko. You can listen live via the website at www.wfm917.com, and you can also download the mobile app WFM 917. We are at WFM 917 across all social media platforms. Now, going into this headline, this one on the Vanguard newspapers says, I was misquoted. We don't condone indiscipline violation of human rights. Now, this one is coming in from the FPRO. So this is it. Now, yesterday we took this particular headline on the Vanguard newspaper still that had, you have no right to respond if a policeman in uniform slaps you. First PRO tells Nigeria. So we took this yesterday, and this particular one got a lot of people talking, saying that why is the PRO being partial in his comments? That comment was not fair. So you are saying that your police officers can hit Nigerians and nothing is going to happen, or is that what you are saying? And now he's coming back to say no. What he was just trying to say is two wrongs don't make it right. If the policeman, for any reason, based on the altercation that's happened, hits you, not have to hit yours back. There are ways you can go report, and it will be taken up officially and addressed. So now he's coming back to say that, he's coming back to clarify that we do not condone indiscipline, violation of human rights. So two wrongs do not make it right. I am not saying that any police officer has the right to treat you unfairly. Now, this is coming in from CSP Muyiwa Adejobi.
You see, that is something we also need to educate ourselves about.
Okay.
No matter how disappointed with Nigeria we feel, our national insignias must be respected. It must at all times be respected. There are better ways that could have been handled. You understand what I'm saying? The good thing is the person recording the scene was not amongst those holding the policeman. So that way you already have a case. The policemen were wrong. They collected his phone. But you know, like Yorubas will say, wisdom is profitable in all we do. You understand what I'm saying? When you don't go about a good case in the right way, you end up losing it. And that's what's happened. Meanwhile, at that also, the fact that after those guys were apprehended, the video also trended. I think the police commission needs to be sanctioned on that. That is also that is also against their human rights. You understand? I mean, they are still, because we saw them more of, it might be subtle, but it's torture. You know, the handcuff on the guy was so tight that he was, you know, in pain. That shouldn't be encouraged by our policemen. They are not yet criminals. They want to take them to the courts. Even the way they were talking to them, the police really needs to be refined. It is an infringement of their fundamental human right, because at that point they were being treated as criminals already, and they are not yet criminals until they are proven to be criminals. In the police custody where they are now, they should still feel that sense of right. We watch movies. We see police in another country. And that's one thing I love about EFCC. When you get invited to EFCC office, whatever you want, they will give to you. They make you comfortable. You don't have to force out. I mean, we need to do away with those animalistic tendencies of enforcing our laws.
And I think there was something the IGP should also have done, because this whole thing started from the fact that you collected my phone. Now, is it part of the law for a policeman to collect your phone?
You see, that's
what I'm saying. That should be addressed.
No, it's been addressed severally.
It's been addressed so many times.
You understand? And the fact that it's being addressed severally, that's why I said, the moment you saw someone videoing those guys, that video is enough evidence, as it were, already. Because the name of the policeman is going to show. You can just take a walk. If a policeman seizes your phone, as long as walk away and go and make the appropriate report. The social media, we are not they're
not caught on social media.
You see, the social media is something we don't know how to use as a people. Some people only want to use social media to gain popularity, whereas the greatest tool to give the world a perfect look is actually the social media, if used rightly. Imagine if after the altercations and all of that, why will you collect my phone? Why? Okay, go and eat it now. And the guy moves. I won't be surprised that police will pursue him and say, I beg, take your phone. We need to learn the art of war. No.
What if you come back after your report and you can't even find the policeman there, and they say they didn't take your phone?
That is why. That is what the video is for. The video already.
I think the video was even being done by one of the policemen, in my opinion.
Well, we can't say because we didn't see what's behind the camera.
Whatever the case is.
Because if you were a random person, you see them, they will use them and come at you.
The fact,
why are you recording?
It only goes to show that there's still a lot that needs to happen. It's just like when the CP of Lagos State was saying last week that anybody that appeals for bail will be prosecuted.
Yes,
on the group where I was, people were saying, it's like you don't know this Lagos. Don't pay. Before you know it, you will be overlooked more. And that is the reality. Except you are someone who they probably sense can mean trouble for them. The Nigerian police, I can still say it anywhere, I'm not still proud of the Nigerian police. If I'm going to rate the Nigerian police as of today, it is still around 30%. I
just feel like there's a whole lot that needs to be done in the Nigerian police, from how they engage with civilians, how they talk to people.
Not only the Nigerian police.
No,
every uniform.
Talking about the police now. So there is this mentality that when they say common Nigerians, you feel like you have this uniform and it gives you so much power that you can talk to the next person like that. And before people even get close to them, people are already defensive. You're already on the edge because you are prepared for anything. That's why you see people having to bring out their phones to record, because people want to have evidence. You don't want to live that life where you're always having to have evidence to show for everything, like, yes, I did this was what I said. It's not a good way to live. Personally, I think it's toxic. Always want to look for evidence to back whatever it is that you say or whatever you do. it gives so many red flags. So people are always doing that so that when things happen, you can say, okay, this is a video, this is how it happened.
The simple solution to this is, number one, we should use technology more. Technology in body cams, technology in
CCTV cameras.
It's the cost of not using it is more than the cost
of carrying this.
We using these things.
But are you even sure
it's just about
body cams? Are you sure it will not be deleted?
No, the way body cams work is it has a central storage. So for anybody to even delete it, it takes a lot of connivance. And if someone is saying, I got attacked between so and so time, and your body cam is retrieved, and there's nothing recorded for that so time, the body cam is always on. It's always active. So the fact that it is blank goes to show that something is missing.
All right. Thank you so much, Lubinko. We have this message here from Evangelist Shegun Idiji, and he says, good morning, good people. Good morning, Evangelist Shegun. I hope you're doing great. This government has totally withdrawn from administration of good and responsible rulership, but running up and down celebrating failures. It is a shame. Very, very shameful. Bosa Jamitu is saying, the simple analogy I want to give Lubinko on leadership emergence is the production of bread. When you use good flour, your bread comes out good, and when you use bad flour, you do not expect good bread. And there we have it this morning.
Now, let me reply that person. The flour itself being used is the result of the thinking capacity of the leader. That's the bread maker. So
you see this argument?
Hinges back on leadership.
You see this argument?
Why would you use bad? I mean, a businessman. Why would you use bad flour in the first place? You are the one who will lose now. So it's all about leadership.
But I'm still going to say people also have their part to play, because some people are intentional about not always wanting to do the right thing.
We are all intended. I mean, we are all entitled to our opinion. But even for that person that doesn't want to do the right thing, the fear of leadership, punishing for not doing the right thing.
And they'll say complain.
The fear of leadership, punishing for not doing the right thing, could reduce the potential of not doing the right thing by at least some percentage.
All right, thank you so much, Lubinko, for joining us this morning. It's been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much. Do have a wonderful day.
Oh, thank you. It's always a pleasure being here. Have a great day, Nigerians.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Adenike, for joining me this morning too.
Thank you.
All right. And there we have it. Good morning to you. Please ensure that you do everything that you do within the ambit of the law. If you have to go out and you're approaching police officers, don't get defensive already. Just keep an open mind and just answer one question at a time, because some of these things that happen can actually be things that shouldn't even happen if we are being honest. But because you already approached them with a certain feeling, yes, I know these people are coming for me and things like that. So please, we can do better as Nigerians. My name is Esther Alaribi. Do well to join us on the newspaper review again tomorrow at 7:30 as we get to review the dailies across different Nigerian newspapers. At 9 is the news at 9. At 9:05 is Panorama, where we have the ladies from different geopolitical zones come together to discuss, dissect, and disagree on topical issues. Good morning.
Have you been a victim of corruption? Do you want to report how corruption affects you and your community? Send an SMS or WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537.